Hey everyone, it's Allie, and today is time for the Day 2 update for Bing 2 Spellburst build. I've been having quite a lot of fun with it so far, and I am getting ready to push over to Time Arc 8, and we have quite a lot of changes happening for our build as we're going to be swapping over from Split Firebolt over to Chain Lightning, which is going to give us a ridiculous amount of additional clear speed. We're also going to talk about all the gear changes I made for the day, some few passive tree changes, along with what kind of slates and other miscellaneous items you're going to be looking for to get in this build. With all that said, cuties, there's going to be a build code in the description below that's going to give you a snapshot of what my gear looked like at the end of day 2. So if you want to look at everything yourself in game, just copy paste that into pro build section and you'll be able to find everything there. So first off, let's discuss why exactly we're swapping over Chain Lightning. There's nothing wrong with Split Firebolt. That skill's great. That skill rocks and does some pretty good work. And honestly, you'd have a pretty good time with it in Time Arc 8. It's just I personally kind of got tired of all the aiming. I didn't really sign up to have to constantly aim my skills, and I do have some wrist issues, so it did kind of hurt after a while. And Chain Lightning basically kind of fixes all that because it auto aims for you. Your cursor doesn't even have to be anywhere near an enemy and it'll still auto target them. And at the same time, there's a little bit of tech we can do with it to get some pretty disgusting mobility, as you can see in the B-roll. Due to that and the fact that Chain Lightning actually has significantly better endgame scaling potential because its noble supports are kind of just downright broken, it's kind of a no-brainer to swap over and play this instead. The tech that we're going to be abusing here is just simply going to be a Frigid Transmission, which is going to be where we'll be swapping Blink over to. Frigid Transmission just makes you do a tiny little dash, but the special thing about it is that its cooldown fully resets every time you freeze an enemy. What we're going to be doing with Chain Lightning is we're going to be running Lightning to Cold, which is going to fully convert it to do cold damage. And we're going to go over to our passive tree and swap out the Elementalist passive tree over to Prophet, which then gives us access to Frostbin. That makes us apply 100 stacks of Frostbite every time we hit an enemy. When an enemy has 100 stacks of Frostbite on them, they automatically become frozen. So as you're teleporting around and you do your free spell bursted Chain Lightnings, they're going to freeze every pack that you come across, just giving you more dashes, which feels really, really good. This also gives you a pretty massive defensive layer because no enemy is going to ever be able to hit you. And if you can kill them in one hit or kill them before they get unfrozen, well, you pretty much don't really need defenses. Now, to make this swap happen, you are going to need to farm a little bit of money. I would not recommend for you to immediately go and try and do this, as it's not going to immediately feel good. And for me, I personally got about 100 FE or so before making the swap. That 100 FE was pretty much spent on 3 things. First off, I went and got myself a False God skin. All you're looking for here is either 2 intelligence per 4 or 2 dexterity per 4 along with one of the other. So you should have 3 in total between the 2 because Chain Lightning is a dexterity and intelligence skill, and attribute scaling is an amazing way to scale your early game damage, along with us grabbing a new weapon. In this case, I went and got myself a staff that has either dexterity or intelligence on it. Which one you get doesn't really matter, but intelligence is a little bit better because we get energy shield from it, along with added lightning damage to spells and +3 main skill levels. That additional +3 levels is really important. That's a lot of your damage, so make sure you don't grab yourself a staff that doesn't have that. For your suffixes, you just want to grab yourself elemental damage, cast speed, and spell burst charge speed, but you can get rid of the cast speed and grab yourself the energy shield regain roll that you had on your previous weapon to make everything a little bit more comfortable. Lastly, we're going to have to replace our gloves as the old gloves basically don't do anything anymore. And in my case, I simply just went and looked for a high energy shield pair of gloves with added lightning damage on it, along with double crit chance rolls and a resistance on it. With these 3 items, you should be able to swap over to Chain Lightning with no problem, and it should basically do as much damage as Split Firebolt did, but you now have significantly better clear. As for the supports we're going to want to run, you're going to want to keep Jump and Psychic Burst like before, and we're now going to want to add in Lightning to Cold, Freeze Chance, and Electric Overload. For your Frigid Transmission, just keep Dash and Psychic Surge like before, but now add in a Periodic Burst, which just gives you a little bit of cast speed if you have enough energy for it. And then we're also going to be swapping our Scorch over to Biting Colds, just because we don't really care about the fire damage from it anymore. For our auras, quite a bit is going to be changing, just due to the fact that conversion in this game is very silly. What we can do is grab ourselves a bunch of things that give us increased lightning damage. And even though our Chain Lightning is converted to cold, all those things are still going to be taken into consideration when the conversion happens. And then we can also benefit from any sources of increased cold damage, allowing us to double dip off of both. That means we're going to now be running Electric Conversion for additional lightning damage and Frigid Domain for additional cold damage, giving us quite a lot of free scaling. On top of this, we're also going to be adding in a spell amplification. And the thing to mention here is that you do need to be able to put 3 supports on all 3 of these to be able to have enough mana to run all of them. The increased area, it can just be any support, it doesn't matter, as this is simply just here for us to abuse off the bean track from Lich, which makes every support just reduce the multiplier of the skill rather than increase it. You're also going to need to grab the rest of the sealed mana compensation nodes at the bottom that we didn't pick up, and all this can be found in the planner if you want to see what the trees exactly look like. The final thing that's going to be changing about our skills is we're going to be swapping out the Magus for for a energy fortress just to make us a little bit tankier. And we're gonna be running a seal conversion along with a restrained to move it over to our life pool so we can actually run all 4 50% auras. The only thing I want to mention here is that if you don't have around 2 to 3,000 energy shield, I don't recommend for you to do that as it'll make you squishier. But if you're around 2 to 2.5k, it is worth it to do this, as while sure you have about the same total amount of health, given we're stacking a lot of energy shield regain, and especially if you have it on a suffix on your weapon, it's just going to overall make your recovery feel better. And as we push the higher energy shield values, it's only going to multiply everything that you get a little bit more. The final thing to mention about the swap is that we do also need to now start thinking about slates. With us swapping to cold, we really want to pick up winter, as we get 1% more damage for every 2 points of frostbite rating, which is just 50% more damage with the initial hit against every enemy that you do. Unfortunately, we also still need burning touch, as this is way too good to drop. So what we're gonna have to do now is go and grab ourselves a pedigree of gods that either has burning touch or winter on it, and then you're simply gonna go over to your goddess of knowledge and just pick up the one that you didn't get. These are gonna be relatively cheap at around 30 to 40 FE. So just grab yourself one that has some pretty decent stats on it. You can do a little bit of window shopping, and with that, you should get quite a big boost in it. Yes. For the remaining slate slots, we have also figured out the kind of things that we're going to want to look for, and they're going to be pretty simple because anything more than just one-sided slates are going to be very expensive. First off, you're going to want to go look for 2 slates with +1 focus blessing on it. There are 2 versions of this roll, one that is just +1 focus blessing with nothing else, and then the other one is this hybrid roll with focus blessing and mana regen on it. And then you're going to also want to go find yourself a blessing with +1 spell burst. These should be quite a large DPS increase each, and while you could window shop for some other useful stats on them, pretty much anything that has something useful is going to be quite expensive. If you optimize the shape of all of your slates, you are going to have enough space to fit in another one. What I'd recommend for you to do is to try and go find one with the Magister point that gives you 2 energy shield per 5 intelligence. You could also go look for the Lich node that gives you 10% additional damage while both mana and life are sealed, or the Prophet node that gives you 10% additional damage against frozen enemies. Those are all really good DPS options, but honestly, our DPS is not really an issue, and I would say that we should probably focus a little bit more on survivability, so I'd recommend getting some energy shield rolls instead. Outside of that, there's also a few upgrades I've made to my build that I want to go over that I recommend for you to make as well once you swap over chain lightning, and the majority of that outside of slates has just been grabbing myself 2 new rings and swapping over to void embarkment. This chest plate is really good for us. It pretty much takes care of the majority of your resistances for you, especially given we have quite a lot of stats now. It also gives you quite a bit of stats, so that's a lot more scaling for chain lightning. And what I'd recommend for you to do is to go and find yourself one that is corroded to turn the 1 ES into 100 ES, making up for the majority of the ES that you might lose from whatever chest plate you're using before. These are pretty cheap at around 30 to 40 FE or so grab yourself a pair as soon as you can. It's going to be with us for quite a bit of time. As for the rings, I literally just got 2 copies of the same exact ring. These just have dexterity and intelligence on them, along with energy shield for 3rd prefix, followed by critical strike rating and 2 resistances of your choice. This should make it pretty easy for you to res cap. I'm actually over by quite a bit, and you can try to fit in a little bit of extra erosion resistance in here if needed. I'm going to be looking to replace my belt next, as this belt is quite bad, but my next belt would basically be the same thing, where I'd be looking for energy shield, damage, intelligence for my prefixes, and then just resistances and crit damage for my suffixes. Outside of that, we are going to also start saving up for some hero memories, and I started off by grabbing myself a memory origin with intelligence on it, and I specifically went and looked for maximum energy shield and critical strike rating as the 2 fixed stats on it. I'd recommend for you to upgrade this to level 20 as soon as you can, as the additional intelligence is going to be quite a lot of damage, and if you can't afford going to level 40 for +1 level, that's going to be worth it to do as well. After that, I'm also looking to grab myself a memory discipline next, as that's going to give you a lot of energy shield, and these 2 points are pretty good to get additional levels on, and I'd recommend waiting on the memory progress until last, because these points really don't do much if you put extra levels in them. That's pretty much everything that we did on day 2 in terms of upgrades. I'm currently sitting at about 150 million dummy DPS or so, and I can very comfortably farm time mark 7.2. I could probably go time mark 8. I've just been a little bit lazy, and that's probably going to be the first thing I do on day 3. And from there, we're going to start doing some farming, and I'm really excited to start talking about that, along with putting out some videos on different farming shots for people to be able to follow along with. If you have any questions on anything we went over here, do feel free to leave a comment in the comments below, and I'd be more than happy to help you as soon as I can. I also stream on Twitch every single day, so feel free to come by Twitch and ask me any questions there. Or if you simply want to just come by and hang out with the other kitties and be a part of our community, I'd be more than happy to see you there as well. With all said, kitties, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you're having fun with the build, and I'll see you all in the next update.